Hi everyone. As I mentioned in my last video, I'm starting with CUSA from the arrays and hashing section of NeetCode.io. I'll be treating these as textbook examples and questions. Later, I'll update with selected homework problems that you can try solving on your own from LeetCode. So let's get started with CUSA. I have written an example with input and output taken from LeetCode, so it will be easier for us to understand when we read through the question. We will then code the optimized solution directly. So let's get started. I have given an array nums over size of 4, a length of 4, with some numbers, as well as target one single number. My question is asking me that I need to find two such numbers that would be equals to 7. In the case, target. But I need to make sure about one thing. My x is not equals to 1. That means there are no duplicates. I mean, repetition of any number is not permitted in this case. For example, you probably would have heard about something called brute force approach. So what does that mean? Can I say this has to be my brute force where I can use two loops in such a way that it will be easier, but the complexity within the computer, within the desktop will be high. So I want to decrease that. That's why people in many channels tend to go for time complexity and space complexity. As I have previously mentioned, we will be covering time complexity as well as space complexity in this video. But first, let's understand a method rather than directly going for an easier solution. Now, I've said brute force. Now, how does this brute force look in our real life? For example, I will try drawing a number line. I hope this can make us understand in easier way. So let us say that I have four houses in a row, like H1, H2, then H3. I can't draw different models of the house, so I'll just depend upon trapezium or pentagon or triangle and squares along the way. So a person, or let us take ourselves as an example, that we have to deliver something along this row, but we are going to deliver to one single person. For now, we are keeping it as one single person. Okay. Now I will try to write something over here. This is I for 3, 4, 5, and 6. Now, right now, we will consider this 3, 4, 5, 6 as names. These are the names of the people who are living in this house. And can we consider H1, H2, H3, H4 as addresses? In this case, we will consider these as addresses. Now, I'm given a name to me. For example, 3 is given to me. So when I'm given 3, I don't know the address of the person. So my best approach would be knocking every door. So I go to the first house and luckily I can make my delivery because the third person or the person whom I'm supposed to deliver is that. So my delivery has become easier in this case. But how about I'm given a number 6. I'm supposed to go here, I'm supposed to go to H2, I'm supposed to go to the fifth person, I'm supposed to go to sixth. Then finally, I can make my delivery successful. So in this, we can see how much time as well as how much work we are supposed to do. So in this case, can we say that this is something called brute force? Now, if I'm given two things to do, I'm given either H2 as well as the name. When I'm given something, will the life of this delivery person will be easier because he can directly or she can directly go to H2 and make the delivery happen. Over here, we can see how our time is less and our work is also less. So in this case, we are trying to do something called optimized technique. So that's what I'm going to say. Now, as I hope this is an example because I'm going to continue this example in a very easier manner rather than showing it in the case of houses. Can I show something like this? So this is nothing but I will say this as map. So in this case, I'll take it as a map where my key and values are stored. So in this case, my keys are nothing but index and my value is nothing but my nums of I. In the case, if I say nums of 0, I can go to 3. And if I say nums of 1, I can go to 4. And if I say nums of 2, I can go to 3. Nums of 6, I can very well, sorry, nums of 3, I can very well go to the value 6. So now why I have mentioned something called map. As in the previous example where I drew few houses and said how a delivery is happening, one day with the name or one day with the value or either or no or both with key as well as value. And we can see how easy the life was for the delivery person. So in the same way, let us try to make our life easier in that. So if I say that I want to store all the n values over here with index 0, 1, 2, 3 along with its values 3, 4, 5, 6. So I can call this as key and this as values. How about we can say that this key is nothing but my address, like the house address, and my value is nothing but the name of the owner. So this will make it easier whenever you try to do for loop, while loop, you can directly make use of key and values also. Right now, I want you to make very clear about keys and values because further when you are trying to do few activities with keys and values, we might get confused key with values and values with keys. So once doing this, I need to find two such numbers to get my target. So I have done something with my lookup table. For now, I'm calling this as my lookup table because it will be easy for me to keep coming to here rather than visiting it. So I have something called target. My 7 minus 3 is equals to 4. Just see whether my 4 is existing in this map. Not in my key, but in my value. Whether my 4 is existing. In that case, yes, true. So when it is true, I don't need to send 3 and 4. Rather, I want to send my address. This is what our output actually means. To send the index of two such numbers which will be equals to my target. So the I hope the question is clear, and I hope how the approach is clear, and why we are not going for brute force and why we are going for math. I just hope it is easy to understand now. So now let's go to the coding part. So as we have already understood the example, we can now read the question now. So given an array of integer nums and an integer target, return the indexes I and j such that my nums of I plus nums of j will be equals to target and I is not equals to j. This I is not equals to j indicates there should be no duplicate. You may assume that every input has exactly one pair of indices I and j that satisfy the condition. So return the answer with smaller index first. So this is the example I have taken previously. So now let's directly go for coding. So before entering into coding part, I want to make sure that you see this vector int. This vector int indicates what is our return type. In the sense, my answer will be returned in the square bracket. That means in a array. I need to return a array. So right now you will be understanding vectoring, but when you go for solving questions in intervals, graphs, probably in dynamic programming, that this return type is something you need to look after because the way you initialize your variables inside this function is something important. And at times when you are initializing such variables, the method to form with these variables will also make it easier. So as I said that I'm going to do my question using map. So in this case, I'm going to initialize my unordered map. My unordered map is going to carry two values. That's why I'm saying it as int because it is carrying each value of the array along with its index. So I can say this has to be empty, it's a variable. I'm giving a name like that. You can give any other variable name too. And later, because I'm going to return a vector int value, I'm going to initialize another variable name ans, or you can say answer. This is going to be my return type. And I will be running a loop for my map. So for int I equals to 0, I less than nums dot size, then I plus plus. Inside this for loop, I'm going to initialize my int x is equals to my nums of I. So I'll be assigning each value, each key to x to check the value, and I'm going to initialize another variable y, which will be nothing but target minus x. And in previously I have said that if the y value is there in the map, then I can directly send the keys back to my function. So I will make a conditional statement here. If my map np dot find the y value, whatever the values is present, I have to see whether it is present in my map. And once doing this, if you are able to find the value in the map, in that case, I just need to push back the value, or in my case, it is key. So I have to push back my key. So my NP, sorry for this. So NP Y. Then later I have to as well as push back my first key also. That could be my I. I can directly do it I rather than again going for N for NPX. I can say my I. And if probably my statement is not working, I have to go for the next value. Then I have to make sure that my X value, my NP of X will be equals to I. And I can return my answer. So let's run this code. So yeah, my test cases are accepted. Now let's submit it. So it's good. Okay now. So you can actually you have got your analyze complexity. So once you go for complexity analysis, you can see my time complexity is nothing but O of it and my space complexity is O of it. So as I previously mentioned, that my time complexity where my map is storing only the values present in the arrays. And whenever I need it, I'm going to look up in my map rather than visiting each index. I'm going to look up in my map to see whether the value is present. So once I know whether those values which I'm aiming to get for my target is present, I will just send back my keys in the form of vector int. And I'm storing again n values, so considering that my space complexity is also O. So I hope that I have given a satisfactory answer or satisfactory explanation. I've given my best, but if you think this is not my best and I can try a little more in the case of my explanation or in the coding, you're more welcome to comment in my comment section. But please make sure that it is polite and so that it will be very constructive to go forward. So thank you for watching this. So let's see in the next coding problem. Bye bye.